and welcome to the Media Club podcast. Before we begin with today's topic, we are going to introduce ourselves by mentioning name, grade, school, and naming one thing that we have been doing during quarantine. I'll start with myself. I am Kyle Min. I am a rising junior at Los Alamitos High School. And during this period of isolation, I have learned to practice drawing more. Any volunteers? Begin.
I can go. So hi,
Perfect.
my name is Eunice. I'm also a rising junior at Cypress High School. One thing that I've learned during this period of isolation is a lot more personal responsibility because I have a lot of time on my hands. So it gives me a lot of responsibility to plan out my days.
Perfect. That's Eunice. Anyone else?
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Kong. I'm a rising junior at Sunny Hills High School, and throughout quarantine, I've learned how to cook a lot more food. It's good.
Perfect, Daniel.
Hi, my name is Gayan, and I'm a rising junior at Oxford. And one thing I've learned is that you can gain weight really fast if you don't run in a long time.
Hi, my name is Chris Choi. I'm a rising junior at Orange Lutheran High School, and I learned how to manage time throughout quarantine.
Next.
My name is Victoria Choi. I'm a rising junior at Troy High School, and I've learned how to be more independent.
Hi, I'm Joseph Kim, and I'm a rising freshman. I'm going to Cypress High School, and I've learned to be more accountable for team.
Hi, my name is Erin. I'm a rising junior at Orange Lutheran, and I've also learned how to manage my time.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Uyan Song. I'm a rising senior at Valencia High School, and I've learned a new keyboard layout called Dvorak during quarantine.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ryan, and I'm a rising junior at St. Hughes High School. And one thing I learned is more about my future major and what I want to do.
Perfect. And did anyone?
Hi, my name is Lois. I'm a rising freshman at Cypress High School, and over quarantine, I've learned how to be more responsible and manage my time, as other people have said before.
Hi, my name is Kenneth Yang. I'm a rising senior at Fairmont Prep, and one thing I learned during quarantine was how to plant lemon trees with my parents.
Hi, I'm Jacob. I'm a rising 7th grader going at Rowan High School, and one thing I've learned is that I learned to play the drums over quarantine.
Nice.
I'm Connor. I'm a rising sophomore at Troy, and I learned to animate.
All right. And that is everyone. So for today, we're going to be splitting the episode in two halves. The first half will be catching up on how everyone's doing during the stay-at-home. And then afterwards, we'll discuss on more current events revolving around the Black Lives Matter protest and etc. So starting with the first question regarding the pandemic, how is everyone doing? Leanne?
Honestly, I like quarantine because one, I didn't really have to go to school. Two, I don't mind staying at home because, I miss going out with my friends, but at the same time, it's not bad. I like staying here.
I'm sure everyone's feeling the same exact way.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because a lot of my friends are just oh, I want to go out. I hate staying in the house. But honestly, I'm not that sick of it. So.
Maybe one more person? Yes, Daniel.
I'm personally I'm sad that I can't see my friends in real life, but I do still play games with them. We still call each other, but it's still not the same in my opinion. So I miss going out with them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so personally, I also do genuinely enjoy quarantine. Honestly, I'm not really much of an outdoor person, so I genuinely enjoy quarantine and the productivity that I've gained. However, I do miss going out with a lot of my friends and seeing them face to face. So I'm pretty sure a lot of other people feel the same way as everyone else in this room. And let's talk about the let's talk about school and how school dealt with quarantine. So, how did you feel about distance learning versus regular school? What's the pros and cons of each?
Pro, definitely being able to have more time to study for APs, and my teachers, like personally at my school, mostly after the APs were over, they sort of just tuned out, so we had a lot of free time. So that was nice.
Great.
I think it benefited some people while it also hurt a lot of people. I feel like teachers, they were, I guess, like, they were less like, they were laid back and they let like the students take control of their education. So students that are like self-reliant and responsible, that take accountability for their actions, I felt like they were able to learn how to be responsible during this quarantine. So they actually benefited. But those who weren't self-reliant and just like dozed off during class, those people, I felt like it hurt them, and in the long run, it's gonna be bad for them.
All right. Does anyone want to talk? Yes, Joseph.
Bouncing off of what Daniel said, I feel like a lot of people have gained a lot of accountability during this quarantine. And personally, I know I grew more accountable of like how I'm managing my own time, and I get to really see if I'm getting anything done, even if teachers aren't telling me what to do. And I feel like that self-growth and that accountability that people build is really helpful.
Yeah, I'll go. I would say
Okay, perfect.
like the only like big con that I noticed in distance learning is that like the meeting times that you have with your teachers, at least in my district, they're very short. So they would pack in a week's worth of information into one meeting. So it'd be really difficult to try to learn, especially because like there's no teacher like right next to you.
I have to agree. Similarly with that, like those short meetings also have an issue with like conflicting with people's schedules and such. I've noticed that a lot. Like oftentimes my English was clashing with my AP World, and I kind of found that to be an issue. And we'll go with Leanne.
This is sort of like not really about like classes at school, but one thing that I know, like at in my district, I go to a public school, and some people didn't have access to technology, but also some people didn't have access to food, because people would get their like lunch, breakfast, whatever at their school, but then some people weren't able to access that food, and it was sort of difficult trying to like from the district to try to organize that. So that's what I noticed.
Yeah. And I believe that we can also correlate this to like people who don't really have like good home conditions, like maybe people are suffering from specific issues, and yeah, school has also been trying to deal with that as well. And I'm glad that our schools are trying their best to manage around that. So we'll carry on to our last question of this topic. And what have you been doing for self-growth? Any new hobbies, any new skills?
For self-growth, I've been trying to pick up new hobbies. I've been trying to do like different things. Recently, I've like tried to learn Morse code, and I've tried to learn like little skills that could somehow like help me in the future to keep myself occupied.
Morse code. That's actually really interesting.
I guess during quarantine, like a new hobby I picked up, as I said earlier, was that I started playing the drums. And then and also prior to quarantine, I was in a sport, and then I was like forced to like, I guess, be in shape. So I guess it wasn't like a really good thing. But like in quarantine, the second, like my other hobby was like, I was able to keep myself accountable, and then actually like, I guess, start like being in shape, because since I'm in this sport, I should be able to I should stay in shape. So yeah, that's what I got.
Perfect.
So for me, instead of like focusing on like hobbies or something like that, I kind of went with like more technical use of my time. So I kind of like invested my time into what I'm gonna do for my major. So one of it was signed up for an extra course, like online course. It's a college course in Wharton. It's for business strategies for a better world, because I'm trying to major in something called social entrepreneurship. So that's what I kind of learned and gained during this quarantine.
All right. And Chris?
Like similar to Ryan, instead of like starting a new hobby, like not like focusing on my future major, but I continue with my old hobby, and then I just kept going on. Like, for example, instead of starting a new instrument, I kept practicing cello.
Perfect. We have a lot of musicians here. And I believe that should be it for our first topic. We are now going to carry on with the slightly more controversial topic of the Black Lives Matter movement and protest. And for a great transition, we're going to ask if anyone's experienced with protesting, or were your families or you affected by the protest? Let's see. Anyone want to volunteer?
I'll go. So, not exactly me that had experience with protesting, but I know one of my friends who had got first-hand experience. So their aunt had I think it was a jewelry store, and just for no reason, and because of the Black Lives Matter protest, his aunt's store got raided, and a lot of the jewelry was taken from him.
Yeah, it's funny how people are correlating riots with Black Lives Matter. It's rather sad. And Daniel, you raised your hand first.
Yeah. So my dad, he owns a business in LA, in the LA area. So he's been pretty worried about the situation of like all the rioting and looting that's happening in LA, just because of like everything that's happening. And I feel like it's really sad to see how like my dad, I feel like he doesn't really have anything to do with like the Black Lives Matter movement, or he hasn't like been racist or done like anything of that sort, but yet like he has to be worried like every single day. And I feel like it's unfair to like other like business owners too that have nothing to do with this. They're just trying to live, but they keep getting affected by these kinds of events.
Yeah, I'm hoping your dad's store stays fine and your family stays safe.
Yeah.
And Eunice?
Yeah, so similar to Connor, I have a friend whose parents own a restaurant in LA, and it got raided. Like their glass at the front was all shattered. They got all their money stolen out of their cash register. Their new furniture was all destroyed. And I also have a cousin who lives in LA. His apartment building got raided. Like I guess it's important to differentiate some of like these violent people who are not part of the Black Lives Matter movement and are trying to use this as some
exploit
to like riot, or not riot, to like loot places. But I know a lot of people around me have been getting affected by the violence from the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah, I believe that the Black Lives Matter movement is a very important thing to remind us that racism is still a problem in our society, and it is necessary that we have to fix this kind of issue. However, people are exploiting these kind of issues, and we gotta be able to differentiate what's the right thing to do and what's not, just like Martin Luther has done, like peacefully protesting and whatnot. Then we'll carry on to our next topic regarding the protest. And oftentimes we have to assess what's too far and what's not. Rebellion versus riot, protesting versus looter. How far is too far?
So one thing that I saw on TikTok was in 8th grade, I went on a trip to Washington, D.C. and took a picture at this like monument, and now it's completely defaced with expletives written all over it, and like it's spray painted all the way to the top. And what the people who did that did was that they also put signs of all of the people who were killed basically. But then I feel like defacing property and ruining other people's lives and other people's and taking away the opportunity for other people to see the beauty of what's built in our country is not okay. And I would say that's definitely too far. And going along with the lines of the previous discussion about the protesting, protesting is fine, but when it comes to looting and just being unlawful, that definitely is something I do not agree with.
Definitely. And I believe that some people, though they can see what's going on, they're actually blind to some things, like for instance, our monuments represent probably the people who've built our country, built the soil that we stand on. And sometimes people fail to see that, and they only see what's right in front of them. And that's often the issue of the riots and whatnot. And Lois, you wanted to talk about something?
As Leanne said, protesting is fine. I totally agree with this. We have to acknowledge that Black lives do matter and that racism is still going on in the United States. But I feel like too many people are using that chance to loot stores, and they're just taking protesting. I guess it's not even protesting at this point anymore. They're just using that as an excuse to loot stores and get stuff that they can't, and I think that's just going way too far with protesting anyway.
Yeah, I do agree. I do, even though there's a lot of protesting and chaos going around cities, especially large ones, I do see people protesting, and though people are exploiting the reason of Black Lives Matter to steal and whatnot, I do see people also peacefully protesting and discussing with other people about the issue that we're facing right now. Kenneth, did you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So originally I saw when the Black Lives Matter protest started, it was just regular protest, but later on it just turned towards how these protesters realized that we're just they're giving them, the police officers, an incentive to carry around batons and tear gas when they start looting these stores and businesses. It's showing how these protesters are actually harmful, and they started a shift towards kind of spreading the word about peaceful protests, such as student-led protests, and similar protests to that emphasize how they just want a peaceful compromise to it, instead of actually harming these small businesses, which further give a reason to why these police and National Guards stay stay on patrol to with weapons and equipment to harm the protesters that are trying to fight for rights.
Yeah. And I believe that together as a community, we should not only aid our brothers and sisters who are in this kind of situation, we should aid them in protesting, but we should also remind them that there's a line in which we protest, where we should protest peacefully, and we shouldn't act out in violence and riot and cause discord rather than peace. And I think it's really important that we understand this as individuals and citizens of America. And I'm very happy that a lot of other people share same thoughts of what's right and what's wrong. And I believe that concludes our episode of the Media Club podcast. And I thank you for listening to us, and we will see you next time.